Hello and welcome to My Own Worst Enemy. We are going to do a playthrough of Burning Banners. Now this will be a playthrough of the basic rules of the game, although I do believe that the real meat of this game is going to be in the advanced rules. I think it's probably the way that it's going to get played mostly, at least here, is with the advanced rules, because the advanced rules add in monsters, heroes, magic, those kinds of things. That's really going to make this a lot more fun to play. There's a lot more going on when you add those things into the game. But that said, you know, if you're not really into magic and heroes and those kinds of things, the basic game is actually pretty fun on its own. Now it's not, we've talked about this, it's from Compass, and we've kind of talked about this as being a fantasy war game, which it is, but when you're playing with the basic rules, it's very, very, what I would call war game light. It's probably more like something like Risk, or maybe even Command and Colors, maybe even lighter than Command and Colors, honestly. Because as I was playing the basic rules, there were some things that, and I'll talk about them when we get to them, but there's some things that kind of just felt like it needed more in the way of having an effect on what was happening on the board. But we'll talk about that as we get into the game. And I will describe the components and things as we go along, as we play along. So we will definitely do that. Now, the only complaint, and I do have a complaint about this game, and it's in the rule book, and it's also with the player's aid card that was provided. And I almost get the feeling that the rules were written by someone who was very familiar with the game. So when they were writing the rule book, they kind of glossed over some of the concepts. I don't think it was intentional, but in reading the rule book, there were just places that should have had text that didn't. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Let me grab the rule book here. So one thing, and this is pretty big in my opinion. So this is the combat rules, where they're talking about how to conduct combat, which is nice. So they talk about winning combat, hits, and how hits are scored by rolling the dice and getting a success, but they don't mention in the combat section here, what is a success? I mean, come on, you're talking about combat, and in the game, to get a success, you're going to want to roll a 5 or higher, and then there's critical hits, where you want to roll higher, a 7 or higher. But in the whole combat section, nowhere in here could I see, other than here, when they talk about critical hits, they do mention that a critical hit is a 7, but a success, just a regular old hit, isn't mentioned in the combat section. So where is it mentioned? Well, it's mentioned in two places. One, it is actually mentioned on the player's aid card. The other place it's mentioned, this is crazy to me. So here, one is the introduction. So it's mentioned in the introduction, section 1.110. So there's dice rolls. And up here they mention, oh, by the way, a success is 5+. So they do tell you, and that's great, but what they should have done, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but what they should have done is just repeat that here. So when you say, you get a success, parentheses 5+, just as a reminder, because when you're looking for that information, if you forget for whatever reason, you're distracted like I am, and you're like, what was the success again? I'm going to turn to the combat section to see what a success is. It's just not there. So I have to go hunting and pecking for what's a success. I can either look at that player aid card, or I can try to dig it up in the rule book. But it should have been repeated, and it wasn't. That just would have been nice to have. Another thing that drove me nuts is when you're setting up these scenarios, they talk about, where is the campaign book? They talk about these control markers being placed. And the control markers get placed when you take a neutral settlement, so I get that. But they don't really mention where your starting forces are allowed to go. At least I couldn't find it anywhere. So like when I played this Fight to the Death, this is campaign number 1, and it talks about you get your opening builds, 15 gold for the orcs, and then 20 for the goblins. That's all it says. Nowhere in here does it say, by the way, here's where your starting forces can go. At least not on the scenario page. And again, I know it says it elsewhere, and you have to go hunting to find out that says, oh, by the way, that the orcs can set up along the orc markers and the goblins can set up along the goblin markers. Repeat that here. It's very handy information. The other thing is, when you have settlements, or you have, let's say, an empire, in this case, the Oathborn, again, they have starting funds, and it would be nice to have a reminder that, by the way, those starting units can be built in the Oathborn settlements on the map. And it just doesn't say that. It's little tiny annoying things like that that build up. I mean, it's not a horrible rule book overall, But there's a lot of missed opportunity in there, that just confusion that it creates. Another thing is with the player aid card, and this also drives me nuts, it's turn sequence. So here's, I guess they're calling this is what a sequence of play would be, turn sequence. And so if you're trying to follow along here, you're going to screw up, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not a great turn sequence. It's not a sequence of play that we're used to seeing in like a war game. And the biggest problem here is when you get into this activation phase, and here's these nice bullets, activate the active kingdom's units become ready, okay, build new units, and activate units one at a time. That's all it says. If you read the rule book, it tells you that you can build new units anytime you want to during this activation phase, so there's no order to it. It should kind of remind you that. And it does give you the rule to go look up, and again, you got to go hunting through the rule book to find that, but the purpose of a player's aid card, as I understand it, is to prevent going back to the rule book, but that's what they're doing. They're driving you back to the rule book. Activate units one at a time. Well, what it fails to tell you here, which is very important, is there's a sequence that when you activate a unit, it gets to move first, it gets to take an action second, and then it gets a free action third. And that's not mentioned here. Again, they point you back to the rule book. So it's things like that that just, it's really annoying with this game and trying to find what the meaning is behind it. And there's some cases where I had to go back to Board Game Geek where users had run into the same problem I've had, where there's just concepts that were not explained carefully enough so that you could tell what they were talking about. Again, I think whoever wrote the rule book really knew the rules and just wasn't looking at it from a new player's perspective. And I think they should have had someone not familiar with the game to actually read the rule book and play through it and get feedback. So that's my only complaint about the game. I'm sorry to go on a rant there, but it's not a bad rule book as far as readability. It looks great, the quality is up there, but it could have used some more work in my opinion. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started, because I think this is a very fun game. And I still think, with the rulebook issues aside, this is worth your effort. And we're going to play through the basic scenario. Now, the one I've picked here is, this is Orcs on the Deepwater. This is campaign number 4, and we will be playing this one. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and the campaign book, and we'll talk a little bit about setup. You're always going to have an invader, and you're always going to have a resistance. That's all the way even into the advanced game. So that's just the way it's going to work. If you're playing with more people, you're still going to have just invaders and just resistance. Next thing you see is postures. This applies to these neutral settlements that we have on the map. Those are ones without the empires or the kingdoms, they call them. If they don't have a kingdom logo, they're going to be a neutral or a monster lair, which is noted by the little dragon head, the red hex around it. The map is excellent. I love the map. And so in this game, this is a basic game. So anything in red, and if you look up here in the rules or the setup, it says Arcane Study. Notice that's in red. So if you were playing with the advanced rules, you would use this setup. Since we're not going to worry about it. So the monster layers are in red too. We will not use these in the basic game, only in the advanced game. So for the basic game, all it means is you cannot enter that hex. So the units know that bad stuff is in there. We're not going to go in. Tells you the maps in play. So this is the Fields of Ash map. Tells you in the upper right-hand corner what this map is in this case. There's 3 more of these beautiful map boards in the game. Your turn order. So that you're going to put on the turn track here. The Orcs will get to go first. The Oathborn will go second. This is a 3-turn scenario. So this is the season marker. So we're in spring of year 1. And we're going to go to autumn. The campaign end marker here is in autumn. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 3 turns. Income track is over here. Only the Oathborn has income. They start at 8. And that's what they'll get every turn to build and repair their units and do other things. There is a blurb about, and I won't read this, so if you're going to play this, this is the lore, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it just kind of tells you where we're at. Basically, the dwarves, the Oathborn, have been underground for years. They've come back up. This area was just ransacked by the Orcs, but the Oathborn have come back up to the surface. They have established settlements, and now the Orcs are coming back in to raid and try to knock the Oathborn back out of the territory. And so we have our setup here, and again, the red hero mark units will not be used. This is not the advanced game. The Oathborn start with 8. We saw that. Opening builds, we're going to get 15 gold to build our units. So I've given the Oathborn 15, and the Orcs will get 16. So those are up there. And I think that's about it, except for the victory condition. We got to know that, right? So the Orc player will win the game if at the end of the season or at the end of a turn, they control 6 settlements or there are raised markers. So this is a control marker for the Orcs. And if they capture a settlement, that'll go into it. Then down here I have some raised markers. And again, I love the components in this game. Awesome components. So this is a raised marker. And if they raise a settlement, that'll go in. So if they get 6 of those in any combination total on the map at the end of a season, they're going to win. So that's it as far as the overview of the campaign. Let's go ahead and finish setting this thing up and we will play through it. And if you notice that I do anything wrong, please let me know in the comments down below. I've played a few basic scenarios now, but I still, again, with some of the nebulous rules and just doing a video while trying to play this at the same time. If I get something wrong, let me know down below. All right, so we're going to start with the Orcs first. They're going to get to spend, I'm going to grab the gold. So we've got the bank over here so we can make change for these guys. So here's what money looks like in the game. This is gold, so there's 10, 5, and 1 denominations of gold. And it's kind of weird to me that it's bronze, silver, and gold, but they're all considered gold. Makes it a whole lot easier to tell them apart though, so I appreciate that. So I'm just going to put this here. We'll make change as we buy our units. So you notice these boards, and if you saw the unboxing, we saw these, but basically this is your kingdom, and you're going to have your units that you can buy. You are limited by the number of units on your board. I did put the hero units out. We're not going to use them. I just stuck them out because why not? They're just sitting in the board. The boards are also good in that they tell you what special rules go with the kingdom. So in this case, the Orcs, it says, can, in the income action step, they can lay waste to any settlement they control. They also, though, have to pay 1 gold per control marker. And then for the Oathborn, it tells you that they have miners, and the Oathborn are the only kingdom that have miners. And the miners can perform a mining action at a mine location, which are where these hammers are located. They can perform a mining action to get 1 gold. Now the miners can also conduct combat, and we will see that in a bit as we talk about combat. So let's actually talk a little bit about that now. I'll just grab one of these Orc, what are they? Orc Reavers. So this is what a unit looks like. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's a 2, and that's how much it cost in gold to buy this unit. On the upper right, you'll see 2 rectangles, a black one and a white one. The black rectangle means that this unit gets to use what they call a heavy die, and the white means the unit also gets to use a D6. So a heavy die is a D10, or I'm sorry, a D8, and then a regular D6 is the white one. So this tells us that we can use 1 black and 1 white dice to roll when he's conducting combat. And then if you look at the lower right, there is a movement factor of 3 for this unit. And then there's just some cool artwork. Now when they take a hit, 1 hit will flip the unit. And you can see there's a red slash off to the right there that kind of indicates that he is now hit. He has 1 hit on him. Notice that the gold number up there has changed. That's now the cost to repair this unit. So if you pay 1 gold, you can flip it back to its fresh side. And that's all that means. And then the other thing we need to take a look at, I'll put the Reaver down, I'll pick up an Orc Scout. So the Orc Scout, quickly, you look, cost 1 to build. His attack is 2 white D6s, or his defense 2. And then there's a new symbol down here now. There's this little circle with the arrows in it. So that's special abilities for these units. In this case, it means this ranged unit will win ties, inflicting 1 hit. So a tie would be if each side rolls a D6 in combat, they both roll a hit, 5 or greater, then the tie would go to this scout because he has the little arrow symbol. Now, if his opponent also had that arrow symbol, then the tie would still be just a tie and the Orcs would not win. So that's pretty much how the units work. Pretty simple, but again, the components are excellent in the way they're designed, so you can just look at those and see immediately what you need to do with the unit. So I'm just going to start spending some Orc gold here, and we're going to attack these Oathborn. Now notice that all the Orc symbols are over here, and this is where the orcs will have to start. So my plan is to put most of the units up here and kind of swing in this way to try to hit some of these settlements. Also notice that these starting locations appear in this water, in this sea over here. So that's okay. They can start in the sea, and when they do, they'll just use sea movement to get to the coast. So it's not a big deal to have those units starting in the sea. And there is sea movement in the game if we get to that, which we will not in this scenario, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I think in this scenario, most of the action's probably going to take place right through here. Not a long game. It's only 3 turns, and these units can move 3 or 4 spaces per turn. So we're not going to see a whole lot taking place down here. All right, so let's buy some orc units. And again, they're limited to what they have over here. We have 16 gold we can spend. These Reaver units cost 2 each, and what I might do is buy 3 of those. Now, one thing I didn't mention was, let's grab this unit. So this is a Dire Raven, and it costs 5, as you can see, but if you look, there's a hex, black hex with a 4 in it. Again, the movement factor is 4, but that black hex means this is a huge unit. So it's certain restrictions on this unit as to what it can and cannot do. And it's mostly, I think, in regard to settlements. And I think with settlements, if I remember correctly, that if that huge unit goes into a settlement, it can't take control. It automatically raises the settlement. And we'll see what taking control and raising and all those kinds of things do as we play along here. So I've just bought 3 of these Orc Reaver units. So I'm going to have to spend 6 gold to buy those. So let's put those aside. We've spent those. We've got 10 left. Now, I don't think I really want to spend all of the Orc gold because, like I said, if they do take a settlement, they're going to have to pay for it. But then again, we've only got 3 turns to take the settlements. Maybe I will spend all the Orc gold. I think I'm going to grab a couple of these scouts. So we'll grab 2 scouts, and that'll take us down to 8. And let's see. Let's go ahead and grab 1 big unit. I'm not going to grab the Dire Raven. I don't want any of these huge units. We'll grab an Ogre. So an Ogre costs, I'll let you see that. The Ogre costs 4, but notice he can roll 2 D8s and 2 D6s in combat. So that's pretty powerful, but he is slow. So he costs 4. So we will get rid of 4 gold. We've got 4 left, and I think I'm tempted to, let's buy 1 more of these Reavers. So that's 2 more gold. And I'm going to hold on to 2 gold just in case. Might be a mistake, but I'm going to put the gold up there, and these will be the starting units for the orcs. And so now I'm going to put the units that I just purchased onto the starting locations where I choose to put them. And where do I choose to put them? Let's see. I'm going to take the Ogre. I want him to kind of come in. I'm going to put him here. So he's going to kind of march down towards this settlement. Now, one thing about settlements is, if you'll note this one, Dunka, I don't know how to say these things, but there's no other markers on that. So if you look at Port Gilder, it's got a port marker, and ports have certain effects. I believe they give extra movement to units that are conducting sea movement, shipboard movement. And then if you look at, say, one of the Oathborn settlements, a star means it's a city, so it's going to get stronger defenses. There's a fortress marker there, which means, again, it's going to have to do with combat. And there is I think those are mountains, and I don't really remember offhand what those mean. We'll have to look those up. But they're in the mountains. It probably has some kind of defense thing associated with it, too. One thing in the campaign setup, it tells you the alignment of all these neutrals, the posture. So the purple logos are the Eastern Kingdom. They're not in the scenario, but it's telling us that those are allied with the Oathborn, and being allied with the Oathborn, it means that our units, the Oathborn units rather, can move into those settlements and with no problems. Unless they decide to attack and raise it, but that's not going to be the case here. Neutrals are welcoming, so this is a neutral settlement, would be welcoming to the Oathborn, so the Oathborn can move through there. If a settlement is hostile, you cannot move into the settlement unless you take control of it and move into it that way. So all settlements here are going to be hostile to the orcs. They're going to have to take the settlements. They can't just walk in. So let's put the rest of these out. We've got scouts, and the rest of those are reavers. So the scouts, I'm just going to put a scout here and a scout way up here. And then we'll just kind of just put these out mostly on land. I want to try to keep these on land, mostly up here because like I said, I'm going to try to push down this way. Although there are settlements down here, so I'm going to put this one here. And I realized that, and it's not a big deal, but I thought the Orcs set up first, but they don't. It tells you right here, set up first. The Oathborn would get to set up first. Not a big deal in this case because there's no strategy that I'm really thinking about where to place these units or what type of units, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But really the Oathborn should have set up. But the Orcs are out. They've got their 2 gold left over and their turn marker is out. So now we're going to do the same thing with the Oathborn. So let's do that. They had 15 gold they could spend. And right off I want to buy 2 miners. I think that's a good idea. So I'm going to buy 2 miners and that's going to cost me 2. So this will take us down to 13. And now as far as units go, we have these King's crossbows. So those are like pretty good units. They get a D8 and a D6 in combat. I'm going to buy 2 of those. And those are 3 each. So those are kind of pricey. Do I want to buy those? Wait a minute here. Let's see. Yeah, their units are expensive. Now, one thing about the Oathborn is they will get to buy more units because they have an income of 8. So let's go ahead and buy 2 of those. That's 6. So this will take us get 4. Take us down to 4. What else do we want? I'm tempted to get one of these larger units. This one costs 5. This one costs 4. And we have 7 left. And again, I could buy, they also have one of these giant creature, huge creatures. And look at the dice he gets to chuck in combat. He gets to throw 3 D8s and 3 D6s. So that's crazy. But I am not going to buy that because I don't think it's practical to have that unit in this scenario. But like I said, I haven't put a lot of thought into strategy here. So there's that. I'll buy one of these. Let's buy one of these Oath Takers. And this is kind of a big unit. It's expensive and it's slow. So we're going to buy that. Now, and this is why they tell you to set the Oathborn up first, because the Orc player would get to see what's out and then choose what units he may want to counter with. But again, I'm not worried about it because I'm doing this solo, and mostly this is an example of play of this game. So this costs 5. So that's going to leave us with 2. And I don't think there's anything that costs 2 in the, well, there's the miners. I could buy 1 more miner. That may be worth doing. So let's buy another miner. And we'll just leave 1 gold for now. And now let's set these up. And I'm just going to put the Oath Taker in here. And let's see, where do we want to put do I want to put out, well, let's put the miners out. So it says that the miners can start within 2 of an Oathborn settlement. So we can, this mine is within 2. We'll put a miner there. We will put a miner here because that's within 2. This one, unfortunately, is not within 2. And actually, you know what? I don't want 3 miners. I'm only going to get 2 miners. So let's put this one back and get a gold back. So I only want 2 miners out. I don't want the 3rd one. And then these crossbows, I'm going to put 1 here. And then I'm going to put 1. Well, this really kind of sucks. I probably should have thought about this a little bit more. Let's see. So we'll put 1 down here. Probably should have put some more thought into which units I buy. But again, like I said, it's okay because we're going to get income for the Oathborn. And they will be able to buy more units. So we will go ahead and take what we just bought. So I will get the player aid card out. Now there is some useful information on here. It's not totally useless. There's a lot of good stuff on here. So you have combat resolution information. We've already talked about the turn sequence. The actions, this is good because it reminds you what actions you can take. And again, winter, obviously, since it's in red, is advanced rules. We won't have winter. We won't make it to winter anyway. And then terrain effects. So the terrain is on the map. And one thing about the Oathborn is they can move through mountains with no penalty. So That is noted down here under wilderness where it says mountains cost +1 movement to enter. However, if you're sitting in mountains, you get a +1 to your defense. And that's what this icon was telling us in the settlement here, that they get that +1 for defense. So I'm going to use the turn sequence here because I know enough now that I need to move my units first before they do anything else. And once you learn these rules, and the rules aren't that complicated, then this becomes much less of an issue where you probably really don't even need the player's aid card for things like the turn sequence. It'll become just secondhand nature, and then you'll probably just use it for reminding yourself what the effects of the terrain are or something. You may not even need it for that. So let's go ahead and start with the orcs. They are upset. They want to take their lands back. So we're going to start with the sequence of play. And the first thing we do is the active kingdom. And remember, the orcs go first. So the active kingdom may disband its siege engine. So there are siege engines, but we didn't buy any of those, and I don't think we really need any of those in this scenario. Then it says additionally, if active, and there's some empires listed here, and one is, of course, the Shashka Kingdom, which the orcs are part of, so they can lay waste to any number of settlements they own. They don't. So then we go to the income step phase. This is where a kingdom would get income from the income track, and also they would get, well, I was going to say that if you place a control marker, you'll get to increase your income. If you place a control marker in a settlement, then you would increase your income. But we do not worry about that here with the orcs. They, in fact, will lose gold. So that's the income step. So no income for the orcs. Then we go right into the activation phase. And this is where we will activate our units one at a time. We'll just start at the top and work our way down. And I want to move, this unit can move 3. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. So he stopped next to this settlement. There is a fortress symbol there, and if we look, the player's aid card does in fact tell us right here that if it's got that fortress symbol, it's a -1 to hit it. Okay, so our unit has moved. It now gets to take an action, and so the actions you can take, you can attack, you can perform ship movement, you can recover a unit at cost, you can work a mine for the Oathborn, that is, or you can just choose to pass. So we've moved, so for our action, we're going to attack. And we're going to attack this settlement. So settlements have an inherent defense value of 1d6. Cities, I believe, would have a 3 inherent. So there's no armies in it, you still get a guard. So there's no armies in that settlement. So they will get to defend with a d6. The orcs are going to be attacking with a d8 and a d6. So we'll roll those when it's time. And the orc, this is the orc Reavers. There's no special ability for this unit, so it's just going to attack. So let's go ahead and have our first combat. So again, we're going to be attacking the settlement. We will roll, and the way combat works is you will roll your dice for your attacker and your defender. A hit is a 5 or greater. If it's a 7 or greater, it's a critical hit, and you'll get to roll to see if you get another hit. And what will happen there is you'll roll another d6. And if it's a success, 5 or greater, you'll get to add another hit. So let's go ahead and roll for our attacker. And remember, it's fortified here, so it's going to be a -1 to each die. So the Orc Reaver will attack. And well, that's excellent, actually. So he rolled an 8 and a 6. So the 6 is a hit. The 8 is a hit, so they'll get to roll, that's a critical hit. So you get to roll another chance here of getting a success to see if there's an additional hit. And there is. So that was about as good as the orc could do. So that's 3 hits on the settlement. There's no way the settlement can win, but we'll roll anyway. So the settlement rolls a 3, that's a miss. So 3 hits, yeah, the orcs easily walk into that settlement that was fortified. So that was our action. We came in. Now, when an army enters a settlement after attacking it, a hostile settlement, it gets to loot, and looting is a free action that happens immediately. So normally a kingdom would get 2 gold. The orcs are part of the Shashka Kingdom. They get 3 gold when they loot. So this one comes in, it loots, it's going to get 3 gold for that. So we're going to give 3 gold to the orcs. So it's now in here. And now the orcs have to determine, do they want to keep this settlement? Do they want to control it, or do they want to raise it? So they could raise it, destroy it, or they could take control of it. Remember, we're trying to get 6 of these control and or raised markers on the board for the orcs for them to win. So I think what's going to happen here, remember they've got to pay for this in the income phase if they decide to control it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control it. We will say they take control because later you can actually raise that and get gold. So one of the abilities of the Orcs is in the income phase, they can lay waste to this settlement, which will result in raising it and looting it again, so they can get even more gold. So we're just going to take control of it for now. So we have completed this unit's turn. So he moved. That was his first thing that he did. His action was to attack the settlement. And then his free action was to place the control marker. So that unit is done. Now the game tells you when you're done moving or done with the unit, you can rotate it on its side like that. I'm not going to do that though. I like to use other things to mark these. And actually this scenario is so small, I may just use dice just to remind me he's gone. So I'm just going to put a D6 on him to show we've already used that unit. So let's go back now and move another Orc unit. We're going to activate the scouts. They can move 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, I didn't talk about roads. Let's talk about them now because he just landed on a road. If you start on a road and you stay on a road, you'll get 1 bonus movement point. So that's something to consider. So that would come in handy if they're trying to run. So here it would be 1, 2. So you can move 3. So you can 1, 2, 3. If that were a friendly one, you can move another one with the extra movement point for being on a road. So now he's moved. We'll just put this on him to show that he's moved. There's really no action or free action he could take. Let's go ahead now and move our ogre down. He's going to just go 1, 2. So he's marching towards that settlement. So he's moved. This other reaver is going to go 1, 2, 3. He's moved. This reaver is going to go, oh, let's see now. He's got 3. What does it cost to cross a minor river? So a river hex side is +1 movement to cost. So he can go 1, 2, 3. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3. So he's moved. And down here, this scout is going to go 1, 2. So that's his movement, and he's going to attack this settlement. So that's the action he's going to take. So again, we'll get our dice. So he gets 2 D6s. 2 whites means 2 D6s. The settlement is not fortified, so it's going to get 1 D6 to defend with. So let's go ahead and roll. And that is a complete miss, so there's no need. Well, we do have to roll the settlement because he could inflict a hit. So that's unfortunate for the Orcs. The settlement defends back, and yeah, look at that. It does score a hit. So that's going to flip this Orc over. And unfortunately, so when you flip a unit, you flip a unit over, these are fragile units, they're eliminated. So this will go back into the build pile. And that was unfortunate for the Orcs. So now this unit is starting in the sea, so he can move 3, and 3 is ship movement, not 3 on the counter, even though in this case it does. They are the same, so he can go 1, 2, 3. So he's going to do the same thing. He's going to try to attack that very same settlement. Again, this is a monster layer, so it's out of play. That's why we didn't go there. But we will try to attack this settlement. We'll get a D8 and a D6. Let's roll. It's a complete miss again. The settlement will defend. Oh, and they hit again. Wow, this is bad news for the Orcs. So that will flip this unit over. Again, I will show you the flipped side. So they will have to repair that unit. Notice that the combat numbers do not decrease, so it's still a black and a white die roll for each. Just it's now wounded. 1 more hit will eliminate it, is what that means. So that one's moved. They've all moved. So we'll take away all of our moved markers. So the Orcs managed to take 1 settlement up there. They need 5 more. And we will move our marker down to turn complete. So that will complete the Orcs' turn. And now we will go to the Oathborn. So back to the turn sequence. There's no siege engines to disband. And none of these other things apply. Now we go to the income step. So the Oathborn will receive 8 gold. So let's give them 8. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. So they now have 8 plus the 2 they already had. They have 10 now they can spend. And I believe that is it as far as the income phase. Now we go to the action phase. Now again, the Oathborn can build at any time during the action phase, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and build now. Well, actually I may not. Now the reason I say I may not is because when you build a unit, so if I buy a unit and I bring it out, if it starts in a settlement hex, then it starts ready. So in this case, there's a unit here already in the settlement, and it's stacking. There's no stacking except in the advanced game where you can have a hero stacked with an army. But you cannot stack units in the basic game. So if I bought a unit and I wanted to put it in this settlement, it would have to go in one of the 6 surrounding hexes on the outside. And if it does start in one of those hexes, it starts finished. So I can't do anything with it in this current turn. So with the ability to buy these units at any point during the action phase, I could first move this unit out, and then I could place another unit or buy a unit and put it in there ready, and it could actually move the same turn. If I understand the rules correctly, and I think I do. Well, so for right off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this miner is going to conduct a mine. He's not going to move, he's just going to conduct a mining action. So I'll just use this to show that. So when you conduct a mining action with a miner, you get 1 gold. So there's another point of income. The next thing I'm going to do is, so we've got this miner, and I was going to activate that one and get another gold, but we've got an orc horde coming down this way. So I'm actually going to activate the miner and move him out of here. He's going to move towards this mine, I think. Might be the safer thing. So he can move to, or she can move to, I should say in this case. So remember, this is a dwarf, so the special ability is they can move through mountains at no penalty. So she's going to go 1, 2. So we're going to put her here, and she has moved. And really, we only have 3 other units that we can move. What I'm going to do is I am going to move this. Do I want to move him out of? Yeah, I'm going to move this Oath Taker out, and it can move 2. So it's going to go 1, 2, and it's actually going to end in this this settlement. It's going to end in this settlement because it is allied with or friendly, welcoming, I should say, to the Oathborn. And no other action can be taken there. And up here, I'm also going to move this unit out. Now with stacking, you can move through a unit. As long as you don't end there, you can move through a unit. And I don't think I'm going to do that here, but what I am going to do is move this unit forward. So it can move 2, so it's going to go 1, 2. And we'll just show that one as being moved and finished. Now I do want to buy some units, and we're going to buy, how much do we have? So we've got 5, 8, 11. Yeah, so we're going to want to, we got an orc problem we need to deal with. I'm going to spend 3 and buy another of these King's Crossbowmen. So we're going to spend 3. 1, 2, 3. And I need to do something down here. I feel like there's not enough down here. Let's buy another one of those. 1, 2, 3. We're going to buy another one of those. I'm going to put it outside the settlement. So I'm just going to put it here. And I'm going to tilt this one to show that we just built it. It cannot do anything this turn. Well, actually, no. Let's be consistent. It can't do anything this turn. I'll just put a D6 on it. This one can still move, however. So it can move 2. But to cross that major river hex, I think it's +2. Let me look. It is +2 to move. So it could go 1. But it doesn't have enough movement to get across that. So let's just move him out. We're going to go 1 this way. And we'll say that that one is spent or done. So I could still build another unit down here. I'd also build one up here, which I think, well, before I build, I may want to move this guy out. 1. He can move 2. 1, 2. Can't quite get to that settlement. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go 1, 2, move him out. So now he is finished. Still have 5 gold. What I might do is buy one of these Dragon Slayers. They're expensive, but they throw 2 D8s. You'll notice there's a lightning bolt for its special ability. That means it has the stealth ability. What the stealth ability does is when you're in combat, the die rolling is not simultaneous, the stealth unit would get to roll first and then inflict the damage. And if it's successful, the other unit would not get to respond. So that's let's buy one of those. Yeah, I'm going to buy that and stick it in here. So now now the Oathborn have spent all their gold, and we can still move the unit we just put out. So this one with the movement 3 can go 1, 2, 3 and end in that settlement. So I think we're going to do that. And that will end the Oathborn. So we've now completed all the actions with both sides. That will advance the season marker to summer. We'll reset the turn track, and now we will go into turn number 2. So with turn 2, we start with the Orcs again. We will start in the income phase. We'll get the sequence of play card back out because I kind of have it memorized now. Not memorized, but I know what should happen that's not listed on the turn sequence. So we start with laying waste to settlements for the Orcs. Now they could lay waste to this settlement if they chose to, but I'm not going to do that here. The reason I'm not going to do it is because when the Orcs buy units, they have to place them somewhere. They could place them back here, but I need them close in, so that means we can place Orcs in that settlement they now control. So that's the income step. The Orcs are going to have to pay for that settlement, so we take a gold and we pay for it. And now we are going to go into the activation phase. So here we're going to activate the Orcs one at a time and move on. So this Orc is going to leave the settlement and go, he's on a road, so he can go 1, 2, but he's got to stop. He can't go into a hostile settlement. So he is here. Now that's his movement. Now his action is going to be to attack this settlement. So he gets a D8 and a D6. The settlement will get to roll a D6. Remember, this is all simultaneous. So he attacks. That is a miss. The Orcs are really blowing it in this scenario. The settlement gets to defend, and they missed, so nothing happens. That Orc has moved. Again, the Orcs can still build. They have, how much do they have? They have 4 gold. So before I do that, though, we have this is a scout that can move 3. 1, 2, and I can't stop in the same hex. I can go 1, 2, 3. Let's do that. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3 and attack that settlement. So that was his movement. He's now going to attack 2d6. This is his action. Oh boy, these must be the Orcs from Lord of the Rings. So they've missed, and now the settlement's going to try to defend itself. And it also rolls a 1, so nothing there. And now I'm going to spend some money. The Orcs are going to buy, what are they going to buy? They have 4. I still would like to hold 1 back just to pay for the settlement if I need to. I could raise it or lay waste to it if I wanted to. We're going to spend one of these pieces of gold to buy a scout. Now he starts ready, so he can move. I could go 1. And see, the mountains are going to be a problem for the Orcs. They can't move through them as easily as the Oathborn can. 1, 2. So we could get down here and attack. Let's do that. We'll just bring him down. Well, no, let's move this one first. This one's going to go 1. Actually, let's not move that one. You know what we're going to do? We're going to move the Ogre. So the Ogre can move 2. He's going to move 1 and attack this settlement. So now there's an army in there, so there's no garrison. We use the Oathborn army as the defense. So the Orc is going to get to roll 2d8s and 2d6s. No special abilities here. So, and then the Dragon Slayer, wait a minute here. This is a stealth ability. I got to be careful. So let's put this aside for a second. We've got the stealth ability here, so we can declare a stealth attack with the Dragon Slayer. So let's do that. So what that means is the Dragon Slayers will get to attack first. There'll be no simultaneous die rolling here. So what they're going to do is roll to see, and hopefully they'll get to destroy the Ogre before it does anything to them. So we're ambush being declared. They're going to roll their 2d6. 8s, and oh, that is really, really good. So there is a hit, a critical hit, a regular hit. So the critical hit means they get to take it, see if they get another success by rolling a d6. No, so they get 2 hits, and so that flips the ogre, and then the additional hit will eliminate it. So that was very good for the dwarves. So that goes back to the build pile. So that was good there for the Oathborn. So who are we gonna move next? I think this one, now that we see the results of what happened there, this one's gonna move down and do the same thing. And again, the Dragon Slayer there is gonna do the ambush. So they will get to strike first. Well, must have been tired from that last battle. So that is a miss. So now the orc will get to throw its d8 and its d6. And ooh, there is another critical hit. So we'll roll the d6 again to see if there's a success to go with that. And there is. So you see how that critical hit works. They were given a chance to get another success, and they did. So what that means is that flips this once, then this additional hit will eliminate the Dragon Slayer. Wow, so that fortunes changed pretty quick there. So we'll put that back in the build pile. Now this orc can advance. It loots, so it's going to get 3 gold. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to put a control marker down for its free action. And we will show that orc is having moved. Now this one is going to go, it can move 3, so it's going to go 1, 2, and there's a bridge there. Yeah, so it's going to attack the, well, let's see. That's a pretty risky attack. I think the orcs have to do this though, because they're trying to take as many as they can. So yeah, he's going to attack. No special abilities, so he's going to throw a d6 and a d8. He attacks. There's a critical hit, so again, we're going to roll to see if he gets an additional success. No, so that's 1 hit. That will flip the Oath Taker unit over. But the Oath Taker still gets to, remember this is simultaneous, so he still gets to roll his dice. And he gets 2 d8s and 2 d6s. And my goodness, so that is 3 hits. So that would eliminate the Reaver unit back in the build pile. The orcs are not doing too good here. Let's see. For our next action. Now we do have this unit that has 1 hit inflicted on it. I cannot recover that unit though, unless it is in or adjacent to an entry hex or a friendly settlement. I could try to go ahead and go into here. Let's do it. So this orc is going to attack this settlement. So let's do that. So he's going to throw a d8 and a d6. And that is a critical hit again. So we're going to roll the d6 again. And that's 2 hits. So plenty to take the settlement. But remember, simultaneous defense from the settlement. No. So that was good for the orcs. So this orc will move into here now. Loot for 3. And it will also, yeah, it's going to place a control marker. And that will end that orc's turn. We still have 1 up here we can bring into this. It's going to go 1, 2, and attack the crossbows. Now, both units have the special ability of range. So if there is a tie here, it's simply going to be a tie. So the orcs will throw their 2 d6. 2 hits, wow. And then the Oathborn will throw their d8 and their d6. Oh, wow, so that's a miss. So this unit is eliminated. We will put that back into the King's crossbows. Where are the King's crossbows? They're down here. So that orc is done, and that's going to end the orc turn. Get all the dice off of here. So the orc's turn is over. They now have 1, 2, 3 settlements. Not enough to win the game though. All right, we go back now to the Oathborn. We're in the income phase. So we will have them collect their income, which is still at 8. So we will give them 8 gold. And now we will go into the activation phase. So what do we want to do? I think the first thing I'm going to do is recover this unit. So in order to do that, that's going to cost, I believe it's going to be 3 gold. So let's spend our 3 gold and flip this unit back over to its recovered side. I'm going to buy another unit. I'm going to buy another King's Crossbow. They cost 3, so now we're down to 2. And we'll put the, I said King's Crossbow. Yeah, King's Crossbow. I'm going to put it in here. We still have 2 left. Do I want to buy anything else? I feel like I need to. I don't really need to hold on to this money as long as there are orcs running around. Can I buy anything for 2? Yeah, I can buy miners, but there's no need. All right, so that's all the buying I'm going to do. So let's see. We are going to move this crossbow unit. Is going to go 1, 2. He can move into the settlement. Again, remember, that's a welcoming settlement. So he moves 2, and he's going to attack. This is his action now. He's going to attack the orc scouts. So he gets to roll a d8 and a d6. And he misses. Now the scout gets to roll 2 d6s. And that's 1 hit. So this King's Crossbow gets hit. So it gets flipped. We'll show it as being moved. And here we have this miner unit. We're going to conduct a mining action and get an extra gold. So now we have 3 gold. We may want to build something else here now that we can afford it. Let's go ahead and move this miner. It can move 2, 1, 2, still moving towards this mine. And now let's move this crossbow unit. It's going to go 1. Oh, wait a minute. Let's move the let's move the stronger one first. We're going to go 1 and then attack the orc reavers. So no special abilities. We get to throw 2d6 and 2d8s. The orcs will get to throw 1d8 and 1d6. So let's go with our attack. Oh my god, no hits. So the orcs throw a d8 and a d6 in defense. And they miss, so it's a tie, nothing happens. This unit is, do I want to bring that unit out or do I want to leave him there to defend? 1, 2, 3. I don't think the orcs can get there. 1, 2, 3. They can't get there in 1 turn, so we might want to bring this one. We may want to attack. Let's bring him out. 1, 2, and he's going to attack the orc settlement. So he gets, they each get a d8 and a d6. So let's roll for the Oathborn first as the attackers. That is a critical hit, so we'll roll the d6 again. Miss, and now the orcs, a d8 and a d6. And so that is a hit. So we have a tie, but the crossbows win a tie. So that's the benefit of having that ranged special ability, which what that means is they win a tie, they inflict a hit on the unit, so this orc unit will get flipped. And this Oathborn unit has now gone. All right, so now we have units down. Have I missed anybody Oathborn-wise? No, we have these units down here. This one can go across the river, so he's got 2, so he can go 1, 2, so let's do that. So he moves across the river, and now he's going to attack this orc settlement. Again, throwing a d8 and a d6. He has the ranged ability, so he will roll first. That's 1 hit for the Oathborn, and now the reavers, the orcs, will get to defend with a d8 and a d6. So that's a hit. Again, we have a tie, but crossbows are ranged. They win ties and inflict a hit, so this unit is now eliminated. So this will go back to the build pile. the crossbowmen move into the settlement. So now this is an enemy-controlled settlement. So when you enter a hostile settlement, you loot it. So they're going to get 2 gold for that. And then the enemy control marker is removed. So this, where am I? This control marker comes out. Now we would place a friendly control marker, I believe. And no, actually I'm confusing myself here. So this would be a welcoming settlement. So actually they would not receive any looting from that. It's a welcoming settlement. So they would go in there, they would not loot. The control marker, we believe we place a control marker in there now and actually increase our income by 1. I think I've done that right. I think that's how that works for a welcoming settlement. No looting. They would go in, put the control marker down, and increase their income. It's not an allied settlement. The allied settlements are the Eastern Empire ones. So that's going to be that Oathborn. Now we have one more down here that we can move. We're going to move this one 1, 2. And that's going to be it for all of our Oathborn. That's going to end the turn for the Oathborn and for the this entire round. So we'll reset these. And now we move our season marker on top of our campaign end marker. So we have one more turn to go through. So we're going to go back now to the Orcs, and they will start in the income phase. So they're going to have to pay for these 2 settlements if they want to keep them. They could raise them. This is the final turn, so there's probably some benefit into raising these now. Although then again, I can't really start any new units close to the action. Well, let's just go ahead and pay for the upkeep of these things. So we're going to pay 2 gold for our 2 controlled settlements. And I didn't mention it, but if the Orcs did not have enough gold to pay for all of their settlements, then they would collapse, which would be bad for them, but they do have enough gold. So now the Orcs, what do they want to do? They need to get 3 more settlements, and I don't know if they can even do that. They lost this one. They only have 2 up here. 1, 2, they could take a 3rd there. I don't think they're going to win this game. So there's a settlement here they could try to go into. So if they get 1, 2, that's going to leave them 1 short. Let's see if they got a super fast unit they could pull out. They do have the wolf. The wolf riders can move 4. If you put them on the road, they can move 5. 1, 2, 3, but they can't get through those units. We start here. Potentially we could get this one back. I don't know why I was counting that as an Orc settlement, but I was. So they only have 2. So but they could have 3. If we put the wolf rider down here and come in and take that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's our 5th one, but we've got to have 6. I just don't think the Orcs can do this. Well, let's go ahead and play it out anyway. Let's go ahead and buy one of those wolf riders. 4 for that. We'll put it here. So let's spend 4 for that. And let's go ahead and just start taking our action. So we'll start with the Reaver and have it attack this settlement. So we'll have our attacker go first, a D8 and a D6. Well, that's a critical hit, so that's good. And then we'll roll this to get, nope. So 1 hit, and then the Oathborn defends with a D8 and a D6. And complete miss. So that 1 hit rather, will take out this unit. So that's a crossbowman, put it back in the build pile. They march in, they loot for 3. 1, 2, 3. They will put down a control marker. Why not? Because it's the last turn. That will end that Orc's turn. So now we have 1, 2, 3, we got 6 gold. Do we want to build a unit? Let's go ahead and play out some of these other things first. And I don't really want to attack across the river. If you attack across the river, you get a penalty. So to attack across, well, you don't get a penalty, but the defender gets a bonus of 1d6. So we don't want to do that. This guy is weakened. I could recover him and just try to hold on to that settlement. But I need to be able to attack. I need to be able to get through here. I would need to, this just isn't going to work. let's try it. Let's have, I was going to say we could try to attack this. That is a powerful unit though. If we can always build another unit in here and have it run down. It's risky, but I think the orcs have to try it. They're going to take this Reaver and attack the Oath Taker. So they're going to get to roll a D8 and a D6. So that's 2 hits, so that's good. The Oath Taker is going to roll 2 D8s and 2 D6s. Wow, so that is a complete whiff. So it's 2 hits on the Oath Taker. That's going to eliminate it. So that flips it, and then it takes it away. That was huge. I can't believe they did that. So that was his action. And now we have this scout. So we have 3 settlements. I think I may have screwed myself because what I really wanted to do was have the orcs come out of this settlement so that I could build a unit there and rush it down here, because that probably would have given me 4, 5 if I take this one. Yeah, there's just no easy way to do this. So let's have the Wolf Riders go next. They can go 4. We'll just have them go 1, 2. And now they're going to attack this settlement. So they get no special abilities other than the crossbowmen will win ties. Let's roll their dice. That's a complete whiff. And now the crossbowmen defend. That's a complete whiff. So now this unit has gone, but this unit can move 3, so we can go through this unit. 1, no, maybe I'm okay here. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that. So 1, 2, 3. So this one's got to take this settlement. So he gets 2 D6. The settlement will get to defend with 1 D6. But he misses, and the settlement throws off the table, so let's roll another one. That's a hit, so that flips this orc over. Oh, he's gone, so never mind. The scouts are gone. Put that back in the build pile, and this one can move 3. 1, 2, 3, no. So we are rapidly running out of options. I have 6 gold. I could build another Wolf Rider, start it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do another attack on this settlement. Could also start it here. I really need to be able, well, let's see. Let's build 6 gold, and I need to take 2 settlements, 3 settlements. I just don't think it's possible. There's 1, 2, but where would be the third? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's possible I could attack here. I still need that one, and I still need that one. Just don't have enough gold to do this. What's our next? Oh, 3. We have some 3s. 1, 2, 3. So that would do no good. We could do another attack here. There's a settlement over here. We could build here and go 1, following the road, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could get a Wolf Rider way over there to try to attack. I just don't have enough gold. Although, hold on, I do still have this unit. He's on a road, so he's on the road. He can go 3, 4 with the extra road movement. 1, 2, 3. So actually, this one can attack this settlement. So hold on here. Let's move this orc. 1, 2, 3. Following the road, and now he's going to attack that settlement, so he gets a D8 and a D6. So that is a hit and a miss. And now the settlement gets to defend, and it hits. That's a tie. So nothing happens. So now we're screwed. All right, so let's go ahead and buy a, what do we want to buy here? Let's buy one of these wolves. That's going to cost us 4. Actually, no, I don't think I can afford to do that. I think we need to buy 2 of these scouts. They're weak, but that's all we can do with our gold. So let's get rid of all of our gold. And let's place these units. I'm going to put 1 here so that it can move, and then 1 here so that it can move. And with this one, it can move 3, but staying on the road, it can go 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's bring it down. And again, it's going to try to attack this settlement. 2d6. Now it's going to say they're ranged, so they'll win ties. And they miss, so that does them no good. Pretty sure we've lost this game. This one can go 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2, 3. He'll attack that settlement. We'll roll 2d6s. That's a complete miss. The king's crossbows will return fire. And they miss. And I believe I've used all of my orc units. That will end the orc turn. We'll pull the dice off. And the orcs have ended up with 3 settlements under control. There's no way they can win now, so I'm going to declare victory for the Oathborn. So that's it. I think you get a good feel for how the basic game of Burning Banners plays. Hopefully I did everything correctly. I think I did, but if I didn't, let me know below. As I was saying earlier, I mean, you get a good war game feel from this, but I feel like more could have been done. I feel like the basic game, maybe even the advanced game, this may apply to the advanced game as well, but I feel like there's some things you could have done to kind of make this a little more detailed. For instance, when you have adjacent units like this, there's no benefit from having adjacent units when attacking a settlement. So that seems kind of weird to me. It seems like you'd get like an extra white D6 or something if you had adjacency. The other thing missing is zone of control. So if you have a unit, let's say you've got this road, let's just pick an example. So you've got this road coming through here. If I had the king's crossbows here for the Oathborn, and I had this unit and I wanted to move him down, he just goes right past. 1, 2, 3. There's no zone of control, no chance for this unit to intervene. So things like that, I think, could have been added to make this more war gamey, make it a little more. If you wanted a fantasy war game, that would bring that more into line with a war game than not. So I would like to have seen more thought go into that in the basic rules. Again, I have not played the advanced game yet, and I know that's going to add a lot more to this game. You're going to have spells, you're going to have treasures, heroes. So maybe some of those things do occur in the advanced game. I have not even read those rules yet. I've skimmed through them, but I haven't really read them in any great detail. So I will do one more playthrough with the advanced rules once I've got a few games under my belt. I will come back and do a playthrough of an advanced rule campaign so you can see what magic and monsters and heroes and all that kind of stuff adds to it. But I will stop it here. It's a very fun game. If you like fantasy and you like wargaming, this is a no-brainer. And the production quality here is outstanding. The only thing production-wise that I would have changed, and I don't think it's even necessary, it'd just be kind of a nice to have, is all these dice would have been nice if they were thematically printed, like your critical hits, maybe you had a special marker for those or something. That would have been cool. Or maybe even just, I don't know, more stylish fantasy looking dice than just plain old black and white dice. But there, you can always change that out yourself. There's plenty of custom dice makers out there. Black Oak, I know, sells custom dice like that. And there's other sites you could probably go to and find some neat fantasy looking dice. I probably have a bunch myself around here somewhere. So I've got a metric ton of dice. Too many dice. So that's it. The Oathborn were able to hold off the orcs. They've managed to stay on the surface on the this map, the Fields of Ash. So they've hung on and they've driven back the orc scourge. And that's another thing that you could do in this game. So the game ends at turn number 3. You could keep playing to see what happens. So you could continue playing on to see if maybe the orcs make a comeback or not. Who knows? And that would be fun to do. But I will not do that. I will stop it here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. And I look forward to seeing you back here next time. Thank you for watching.